bop, way da, scuba da ba da doo da, scuba da ba da doo way ba doo da, ba ba da, scuba ba da doo da, scuba ba da doo way ba doo da. I met a beautiful princess in the land of Oobla-dee. She smiled and said Oobadilya, meaning you appeal to me. I've said Oobadilya bindu with pride, Oobadilya bindu, let's take a ride in the land of Oobla-dee, Oobla-dee. She drove me straight to her castle in the land of Oobla-dee. And there I met her two sisters, Bluey Da and Dewey Blee. Bluey Da without a doubt was twice my size. Dewey Blee, the other sister, had 3 eyes, and the 2 had eyes for me, Oobla-dee. Oh, I don't think so.
All right, Scott Lanningham back with you for a new episode of SL Radio, and I'm thrilled to have Ron Wilkins with me tonight. We're listening to him right now, and there's Ron. Say hi, Ron.
What's up, peeps? How you doing? Hey, Scott.
So good to see you, man. Well, let's dig on the rest of this tune, then we'll come back and talk.
Look out now. I love a beautiful princess from the land of Oobla-dee. I asked her oodoo-dee-la-oo-blue, darling, will you marry me? She said, Ooba-diddly-a-blah-see-la-see blue, there is nothing in this land I'd rather do. In the land of Oobla-dee, Oobla-dee. They led me straight to the altar in the land of Oobla-dee. I had a very bad feeling, things did not look right to me. So I said before I do, I looked aside. They had pulled a switcheroo, they changed the bride. Oh, they can't do that to me, Oobla-dee. Western-bound freighter from the land of Oobla-dee. I jumped when I saw the princess who was waiting there for me. We say ooh-da-ee-a-la-blee-da-blee-doo, meaning I will always be in love with you. It happened in Blah-dee, Oobla-dee. It happened in Blah-dee, Oobla-dee. It happened in Blah-dee, Oobla-dee.
Oh, yeah. Oh, nice. Ron,
yeah, man.
Where does that tune, what is the origins of that tune? Where does that come from?
That tune was written back in the I'm going to say the late 1930s by none other than the great Mary Lou Williams.
Oh, okay.
It's a she wrote this song, in fact, and was working with Dizzy, along with and his big band, along with I can't remember the jazz singer's name who actually worked with her on the lyrics on this. But they came up with this tune, and it turned into like a bebop anthem of sorts.
Yeah,
you know, ever since I was a kid growing up, man, I used to love listening to my dad's record collection at times, checking out tunes that novelty songs or songs that tell stories, like the Cement Mixer, by Slim and Slam, um, or of course, Route 66 by Nat King Cole. Stuff like that's got somewhere to go. In this case, this thing is like a bop anthem because, number one, the way the changes are set up on it, it's got a lot of the altered fifth and throughout the chords on there. And that was like one of those particular, an augmented fourth or diminished fifth. That was the particular interval that was used a lot in jazz at that time in bebop. And it's thrown throughout there. So it's a cute little tale with some scat in it, and then I get to scat, and then of course you hear this trumpet solo soon after I finish up by none other than the great jazz trumpeter Freddie Hendrix, who's up in New York and New Jersey. Freddie and I both played together with the Dizzy Gillespie All-Star Big Band.
Okay.
Up in New York,
yeah,
and
awesome.
he's one of the greatest jazz trumpeters in the world. He's just amazing and a sweetheart of a guy too, man.
Oh, it's a great recording. And is this from the new album that's coming out?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Which is not
this
out
one
yet.
is going to be
Is that
from
right?
no, it'll be out in January. It's called Ron Wilkins, Trombocalist.
All right. So you sing all over this record, right? I mean,
oh yeah, man.
on every
Out of the
cut?
10 tunes, on the 10 tunes on it, I sing 6 of them.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love it.
Yeah. So
That's
I'm working more in that direction these days.
That's some badass scatting going on there. You were covering some territory. A couple of those phrases, man. Woo! A couple of those phrases.
Man,
you cover as many notes as some singers cover an entire song in about the span of 3 bars there. But it reminds me of sometimes great fast scatting reminds me of a Steve Martin joke he did one time when he said, banjo music is your best value for the dollar, notes per song, Well, you could say the same thing about really fast scatting. You're going to get a lot of value per tune, man. It's a good investment.
I love that stuff. I love that stuff. I mean, I'm a student of great jazz singers and scat vocalists like Ella. John Hendricks from the group Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross, of course, Andy Ross and Dave Lambert, among others. And to me, I wish more vocalists would go back to that. These days, they're all involved in jazz with singing a theme or singing a style and such, and you don't really hear as much, of singers and vocalists out there who are actually scat singing on times. I was listening to a cut recently with the jazz singer out of New York, Jasmine Horn.
Mm.
She did this version of the tune "Moanin'" by Bobby Timmons.
Oh yeah, I love that.
And she scats in it, man. She starts off with "Lift Every Voice and Sing," and then it breaks into "Moanin'," and then she goes on to some scat in there that's just like, good stuff.
Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross, classic version of "Moanin'." That's where I actually first heard the tune. Was not from Bobby, but was on one of their records. Was it the Cloudburst? Same one that Cloudburst was on, I think. And and
world's greatest jazz vocal group.
Was that tune originally an instrumental, and then like John Hendricks did the lyrics for it? Is that what happened?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Bobby Timmons actually wrote that when he was on his time with the Art Blakey jazz band. So that became a classic.
I heard all of that. My dad played that too growing up. He played a lot of those artists and Carmen McRae, Ella, a lot of different people. Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross records in particular, and John Hendricks singing really resonated with me as a kid. There's something about his voice that it's so soulful, but the way he could articulate lyrics rapidly, and when scatting, but scatting with lyrics at times, or not even scat, but just super fast lyric delivery across an improvised melody, maybe that was transcribed from a horn player or something, right?
Exactly.
I was so blown away by his ability to get all those words out.
Yeah, I mean, when I was living in San Antonio and growing up as a kid, the first jam session I went to had this incredible group there, this duo that was led by the drummer and vocalist Kyle Keener and the guitarist Polly Harrison, who was also playing bass pedals at the time. They were called Small World. And Kyle and Polly were also huge devotees of Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross. So when they would do a tune like Cloudburst, the first time I heard it, I'm like, wait a minute, what was the name of that bus that just ran me over? What was the license plate on that thing, man? Because it blew me away. It seriously blew me away. John Hendricks is known as the father of jazz vocalists, and that's the technique or the style of music that incorporates improvisational solo and instrumental solo that's been transcribed and then had lyrics put onto it and then sung.
Yeah.
So that's what got me after I hung out with Kyle and Polly. Then it was just like the voyage of self-discovery, man. Wanted to find out about as many people who scat sang and can do stuff like this. And from there, it led me to great singers as well, like not only, like I said, Ella and John Hendricks, but also cats like Mel Torme.
Yeah. Did the singing, the love for singing and the pursuit of it come later for you after the trombone, or did they all come at the same time?
Well, before it, actually. When I was like 4 or 5 years old, I was enlisted, courtesy of my parents, who said, he's got a nice voice. Let's see what happens. And they put me in the choir and church. And the next thing you know, I'm singing the solo on the tune, What a Friend We Have in Jesus. And everybody went, oh my gosh, it's a blessing. Oh, I can sing. Oh. And so that was my big hit for a few years until my voice broke. And then after that, it was like, by that time, a little before it, actually, I was in middle school and getting into band and learning how to play trombone and figuring out which end of the horn to blow and all that stuff.
Now,
it was just a process, actually.
I should let those know. I don't know who all is watching right now, but I see Terry. Terry's come on. Terry Dawson. So thank you, Terry, for being here. And for those who might not know who Ron Wilkins is, I don't know who is on who wouldn't know, but Ron is trombonist, a low brass artist extraordinaire, vocalist, composer, born in Germany, right? I didn't realize that until I read something about you. But grew up in San Antonio, but came over here early on, and of course North Texas State University, now changed its name to University of North Texas. But you were there, and then in New York City for years, and worked Broadway and played with a lot of different artists, and now back in Texas. And how long have you been back in Texas, Ron?
I got back here in early March to actually play the musical Aladdin over at Bass Concert Hall. I was supposed to do 2 weeks of it, but at that time, the coronavirus was really just kicking in to the point where they just started shutting everything down, including the show, which instead of running 2 weeks, only went 2 days. It was a great show. I mean, we were having a great time with it, with the touring group and, of course, the local cats who were playing. It was wonderful. It was, but with the things that happened with the virus, they shut things down, and then.
And tell people, give them, if you're up for it, tell people about what you went through, because yours is one of the more dramatic stories that I've heard, and I know everybody had you in their prayers for a long time there, and we're just so glad you came out of it so strong and just back to yourself. But you had quite a ride there, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yes, indeed, I did. It was pretty intense. I got sick very early in April, and I was rushed to an emergency room, and then from there to the Northeast Baptist Hospital, where I was in a medically induced coma for 32 days and on a ventilator for 37 days. And just the issues with those two things alone have taken out a lot of people. But I feel very, very fortunate, to the point of blessed, by saying that I came back. I wasn't done yet. Wasn't done. Still got more to do.
Did any of that mess with your singing and playing ability? I'm sure you had some rehabbing to do, but how are you feeling overall?
Oh, yeah, I'm feeling great. And in fact, the crazy thing is, after about 37 days over at Northeast Baptist, 37 to 40 days, then I spent another 30 days or so between the PAM Specialty Hospital for rehabilitation. And then from there, about a week-long stay in the Warm Springs Rehabilitation Hospital, just down the road from us here in Kyle. I am just I am steadily improving. In fact, after I got out of the rehab hospital, I went right back in over there as an outpatient, pretty much from around, I would say, mid-July, all the way up until I would say probably, yeah, end of August. Just going twice a week and doing physical and rehab and occupational therapy.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty much back. I'm pretty much back. In fact, I think when people see the concert this Saturday, they'll get a good look and see as well as hear how much better I'm doing. But I have to admit, it's the first gig back since having been laid out. And man, by the time I was done with that, Scott, I was exhausted.
Oh man, and being a brass instrument, player, I mean, just the how much you rely on your lungs. I just can't
Oh yeah,
imagine how tough that rehab has been. But I'm just so we're all so glad that you feel like playing, and you're ready to do a.
yeah,
So we want to plug that performance a number of times during our time here tonight, and let's throw the poster up so people know what we're talking about. You want to let them know what's coming on Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
absolutely. And if you'll notice here on the poster over on the top right corner as you're looking at it, it's like the first virtual weekend of jazz. I got to give a quick shout out to our man Joe Morales, who's listening in and said, "Hey guys," to us over here.
Yeah, Joe.
What's up, Joe? He was the one who had talked shop with the folks at the church and told them about me, and they got me on board to be the guest artist this year. And I am just so very happy and excited for the opportunity to make joyful noise once again. This coming Friday, November 13th at 7 o'clock, and then Saturday at 7 p.m. Central Time. For those who are on the East Coast, go an hour ahead. We'll start an hour at 8, and go accordingly. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's just cool
Do you
that
play all
I
three? Do
get to
you
do
play
this.
three times, Joe? I mean, Ron, how does it roll? I forgot how the festival runs
Well,
there.
I actually went in with this great rhythm section of wonderful musicians from Austin and Houston, working with the bassist Marcus Varela, who I had
Yeah.
met when we were both living and working in New York. Marcus is a beast, man. He's on his way to legendary status. He's a bad cat, a sweetheart of a guy too. Also on the piano was Sean Giddings.
Yeah. Another bad
Sean,
cat.
I had a chance. Yeah, man. I mean, it's like ain't no play in this game. Ain't no play in this game, and that it's the real deal. And then, of course, on the drums, Mike Gordon, who I had also worked with when we were in New York together, playing with a different band. In fact, both Mike and Marcos and I played with this particular band led by this German jazz pop singer named Joe Benjamin. And it's so funny. Also, um, my dear friend and partner down here, Becca Patterson, who's also played with numerous great bands like the Basie Band, the Mingus Big Band, and such. We were both up in New York together working. We put together our own big band. Becca also played with the Joe Benjamin Band. So she was there with me to help me out and not only provide moral support, but to help me lug the gear back and forth. And it was just cool afterwards getting a chance to just talk a little bit to both Marcos and Mike about, okay, so we were in New York and now we're here. And welcome to Austin.
Wow, that's a
And
killing. That's a great quartet, man.
yeah,
I
it's
envy you.
amazing.
That's a heck of a group to be playing with, and I know that you'll feel so lifted up by that. I'm sure you guys have gotten together ahead of it, but I know I
We
played.
actually,
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to let you know real quick, we actually rehearsed about an hour before we were supposed to do the hit. So we ran through about 9 or 10 tunes and then we hit it.
Mm.
And which was the other exhausting part.
Yeah, well, I'll bet.
But
Well, I
the
was gonna
guys are
s-
true pros, man.
I was gonna say I played last night. You and I were talking about this earlier. I played last night with my Church on Monday brethren, Elias Haslanger, Dr. James Polk, Tommy Howard. Sam Pankey was filling in for Daniel Durham, who was protecting everybody by not being there. Daniel's doing a lot of moving around right now, and doing some delivery work to help make ends meet during the pandemic, and he declined to play because he wanted to protect people, which I admire him and his spirit so much for that. Lovely cat, but it was the
He
first
is.
time I'd played since March 10th or 11th, and I hadn't played.
Wow.
I hadn't played through two full songs in a row since then. I mean, I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to play at all, you know. I had played some, but it just little spurts at home. And man,
Sure.
as soon as we hit that downbeat and the guys started playing, it was just like all this energy just flowed in and lifted me up, and it you know, we talk about the universal language of music and the joy of playing together, but it really is a palpable spirit and energy that reaches inside of us and does amazing things, isn't it?
Ah, it's fantastic. There's nothing like it. In all honesty, there is nothing that even comes close to the power of music and how it can uplift not only the performers but the audience, the listener. Um, I am I have had the best time in this life, um, as a working and performing artist, a musician, composer, singer. To me, I mean, yeah, there's other professions out there where you could make a lot more money, sooner than later. But
Yeah.
the thing is that can you get as much enjoyment out of it? And to me, there's, we're unique beings, all of us who work in the music industry, because especially as performing artists, we have this unique connection not only to the music but to the other people who we perform with. It's like a lot of people I know who are in the music business know a lot of other people who I know in the music business, who know a lot of people who I don't know, but they know someone else who does.
Yeah,
There's
right.
this connectivity that happens, and it's amazing to me to witness that and to really be a part of it. It's wonderful. There's nothing like it. The energy, the spirit, the flow. It's life giving, man. It's life giving.
I'm sure thinking about that and reflecting on that, the rich experiences you've had is it helped sustain you through what you went through with
Oh
COVID
yeah,
too, I'm sure. Right.
oh yeah, very much so. I knew in the back of my head, even going through everything, even with the coda, with the coma, the coda, talking music,
I guess it's kind of like
but
a
even going
coda,
through the,
right?
yeah, in a way it
You
was, in a way it
froze.
was. So yeah, yeah, pretty much. But
Reset. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it brings me back now to, how just how important and how vital it is
Hmm.
to make music and be creative. And I know that not only speaking as we are here about this, but there's hundreds of thousands of musicians that we know of around the world, who have been like equally damaged, and their livelihoods have been cut short because of this horrible virus.
Right.
And so it's my hope that, as things can improve and we can get back to a little bit more sense of normalcy, and the potentially good look at a potentially virus, or antidote, coming sooner than later, we might be able to get back, but it's going to take a while. And that's the thing. I mean, I even checking in with my friends up in New York, man, it's like most of the guys are out there hitting the park and busking or working, doing stuff outside and such. But there's hardly any clubs open. There's
Yeah.
really not much of a scene at all. The New York Phil is closed. The New York Metropolitan Opera is shut down. They won't be starting up with either of them until September. Broadway, where I was getting a good portion of my revenue, they're saying maybe by May, but I don't know. I
Wow.
don't know. I mean, the thing is that so much of this is up in the air now, and even once we do start getting a grasp on it, I'm not expecting everything to just jump right back into what we're used to. That's we have a new normal to deal with now.
I know. I know. It's this year in so many ways has put our lives through the ringer, and and then some, and
Yeah.
some more than others. But and it's made us face a lot of things that we need to face, and we're still working on facing that. Some are trying,
Oh
some
yeah.
are refusing, but we'll get to it. We got to get to it. But I see the
Oh
ways
yeah.
that the art community is adapting. People are streaming and doing things like this. My wife Elizabeth just told me about, Broadway HD. Like there's this service where you can subscribe and you can watch Broadway musicals, I guess recordings of them, but I'm assuming eventually maybe Broadway might, maybe it's going to consider doing some paid streaming of performances just to keep the wheels moving. Have you heard anything about that?
I have not heard as much about that, but I have a feeling that is also coming up. I mean, you see with symphony orchestras how they're doing that now. I've got some dear friends who are playing not only with the Austin Symphony but San Antonio, as well as with the Houston Symphony, as well as guys I know up in the Metropolitan Opera and the New York Phil, and around the country, that they're doing they're doing like video performances. But the thing is that they're having to go with social distancing and the wearing of masks.
Yeah.
And more so, you can't have as many people as you would for a larger work.
I've seen
in the
some
hall
of that.
there.
You're all spread out. The musicians are farther apart, and people are finding ways to cope. We've got great music of yours to share, and you and I could talk for hours. And we can continue talking, but we also want to play some more of this great music. And because we were talking about Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross, I wonder if we ought to play "Gimme That Wine," because as soon as that reminded me of them. Right? Was that on that same recording that Monin was on, or a different one?
It was a different recording. You know what? I'd have to take a quick peek and look at it again, because it's been a little while. But I'd like to send this particular tune out to all of us who have been like stuck at home, and you have had to go ahead and turn at times to the love and support of family or through faith and such. And then occasionally you go ahead and break out the bottle
That's right.
and have a little nip or 2 or 10. And I myself, I don't hit it. I don't really hit it that much, but I just love this tune. It's another fun little novelty tune. And, I just hope you all dig it. I mean, these days, especially with everything going on, I'm just figuring that this album brings some light and some levity and yet some seriousness. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to share it. This has been a project that's been going for like almost 4 years now. And it's time to let this bird fly. So,
and when does when does the album hit the stores and the downloads and all that kind of stuff?
We're gonna be releasing probably by middle of January. I'm working right now with my executive producer, who's finishing up the masters. And in fact, the tracks that I sent you are all masters.
Nice.
But I'm still doing a little bit of listening on that end of it. And the other thing that really worked out beautifully is that I got to go ahead, courtesy of Joe, once again, and doing the recording over at St. James. I got to work with a fabulous photographer named Kim Yarborough.
Yeah.
Who did some great pictures. Yeah, everybody knows Kim, man.
Oh, yeah. I thought I saw Kim on here. Maybe not. She may not have come on yet, but sometimes she'll come on and hang out with us here on these conversations. She's great. She really is. So many good photos. Okay, let's roll "Gimme That Wine," which is a little, maybe we'll call it a little jazz vaccination while we're waiting on the real thing down the line.
I can dig it.
Right? Here we go.
I can dig it. Let's do it.
My wife got tired of me running around, so she tried to keep me home. Well, she broke my nose and hid my clothes, but I continued to roam. Then she finally hit my weak spot, threatened to throw my bottle out. Well, from the basement to the rooftop, everybody could hear me shout, "Give me that wine, oh, give me that wine, give me that wine, 'cause I can't cut loose without my juice. Gotta have hot and loosey when I go walking, you know." Well, one day while crossing the avenue, a big car knocked me down while I was stretched out, tying up traffic, and crowds came from blocks around. Now the police were searching my pockets before they sent me to the funeral parlor. But when one of those cops took my bottle jack, I jumped straight up and commenced to holler, "Give me that wine, oh, give me that wine, give me that wine, 'cause I can't get well without muscatel. Only drink for medicinal purposes anyway." dark and dreary night as I was staggering home to bed. Well, a bandit jumped from the shadows and put a blackjack side my head. That cat took my watch, my ring, my money, but I didn't make a sound. But when he reached and got my bottle, you could hear me from blocks around. Give me that wine, oh, give me that wine, give me that wine. I beat my head out of shape, but leave my grate. Watch, ring, and money ain't nothing, but don't mess with my wine, Jim. Well, one day my house caught fire while I was laying down sleeping off a nap. And when I woke up, everything was burning with a pop and a crackle and a snap. When the fireman chopped up my TV set and tore my apartment apart. But when he raised his axe to my bottle, I screamed with all my heart. Give me that wine, oh, give me that wine, give me that wine, so I can drink one toast before I roast. No sense going out half-baked, might as well be all tore up. Look, here's the last verse. Look out. Now you can take all them Hollywood glamour girls, Halle Berry, Scarlett Johansson, Oprah, Beyonce, and all them chicks and line them upside the wall, put a gigantic jug beside them, and tell me to take my choice. But there'd be no doubt which one I chose the minute I raised my voice. Give me that wine. Well, those chicks look fine, but I love my wine. Now some folks like money, some like to dance and dine, but I'll be happy if you give me that wine. Give me that wine. Unhand that bottle.
Oh yeah, Ron, that's great. Were those your lyric customizations, or did someone else do that?
Those lyrics are directly from the mind and mouth of Jon Hendricks, with the exception of all the Hollywood glamour girls.
That's what I was gonna say. The Oprah, Beyonce, and that was great.
Well,
that was
I thought about that with I was saying, like, of course, among others, Halle Berry, who's one of my favorite actresses, Scarlett Johansson, who I think is amazing. And then my man on drums, Tommy Campbell, who's one of the greatest jazz drummers alive today. He's a nut, man. He's like going, man, you got to throw Oprah in. You got to throw Oprah in. And I'm like, okay, why not?
I love Oprah.
And
yeah.
Oh, I do too. So, shout out to Oprah.
Yeah. Oprah, we hope you'll tune in. Yeah, we need you.
Absolutely.
To extend us, tweet us out once, and we'll explode the server.
I'm good with that.
I'm remembering that my memory of "Give Me That Wine," and maybe it's the Lambert Hendrickson Ross arrangement, is the little turnaround phrase at the end of each verse was like they were mimicking Straight No Chaser, weren't they? And then back to the top.
It sounded a little like it.
Yeah.
The better you did it, that.
Yeah. Anyway, I love that cut. That's great. And you sound good.
Thank you.
You've got got that character in your voice that makes a scat singer fun to listen to. I mean, you get.
Thank you.
If it's too. If there's not some grit in there, sometimes it floats along and it's not as engaging. And you could say that about any singer or any player, but man, you've got I love your sound. It's really fun to listen to you. It really pulls you in.
Thank you. It's so funny because when I was coming up as a kid and I was singing, I used to sing a lot. In fact, my parents back in the day, because we were kids growing up in the 60s and then 70s, man. They bought us a reel-to-reel tape player. You know what
Hmm.
those are.
Oh yeah, I had
I was
one.
trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I had a couple of them. In fact, I had a TIAC for a while there, but the first one I remember they got from Radio Shack, and we would put 9 or 10 D-sized batteries in this thing
Hmm.
and carry it with us. So at times when we would go ahead and come back from, a trip to church or something like that, we'd be in the car and we'd be just singing and recording ourselves on it, and then playing it back and just cracking up over some of the wacky stuff we'd be coming up with. But I mean, to me, it's at this stage now I see the voice very much just like I see with my other instruments. It is a tool to be used to the best of my ability to be able to give um, context to the music. And I think it's important these days for me, as well as other singers who do this too. I mean, we try really hard to keep the voice in shape and to work hard to be able to go ahead and sing
Yeah.
and let our voices be heard. And to me, it's so important. It's literally. I was remembering I was talking to this other gentleman last night, Greg, who's on KAZI, and we had done a little interview on the radio show
Cool.
at 88.7. And I was talking to him about one of the philosophies that I was taught when I was doing undergrad at North Texas, and then I was on the road with the College All-Star Big Band led by the great trumpeter Clark Terry.
Mm.
All these cats who I had studied with and learned about and listened to are all telling me the same things, which is, man, you got to be able to play what you sing and sing what you play.
Mm.
And that is a useful tool in being able to get a better grasp and understanding of your music and yourself. I tell this to my students now because since I've been back, I've been very fortunate to get the teaching job where I'm one of the assistant professors of trombone and jazz working at Texas State University within the jazz department with Utah Hamrick and the crew there, and
Cool.
on the trombone side of the house working with Martin McCain, who is the professor of trombone there. And I mean, it's like I'm the guy who comes in here who's like literally working with students on etudes and solos and singing phrases to them so they can get the concept of what it sounds like to hear someone sing it and then turn around and play it.
Yeah.
And then with my jazz guys, it's the same thing. It's like all the time that I did working on patterns and modes and scales and putting things together off of the major or minor pentatonic or augmented or diminished. All the stuff that I worked on, I found out that I could also sing it. And that's kind of the same philosophy that I got out of hearing people like Lambert Hendrickson Ross, like Ella, like Joe Williams, among others. People who were great singers, but they sounded just as much like an instrumentalist, like a
Yeah.
great saxophonist or trumpeter or trombonist. You know,
Joe Williams, man,
it's
that's
like,
another one of my favorites. What a voice! Oh my gosh,
oh yeah, oh yeah.
he's
I
going to
I
heaven
I,
every
I
time you
loved
heard
them for
him.
a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the Basie Band, which is another group that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of and play with, along with uh, did a gig there at Birdland, playing with the Birdland Big Band, but I also played with the Basie Band for about a week. And we had your friend and mine, Butch Miles, come
Oh
up
yeah.
from come up, who was a alumnus of the Basie Band,
Oh what? Yeah.
and
Butch, man, those years I saw him late '70s, early '80s, and that he
mhm.
did a long stretch in there, didn't he?
Oh yeah,
And
oh yeah.
gosh, what a tremendous talent! What a great guy! I need to have him on the show. I don't know why it's taken me so long to get Butch on,
Well,
but maybe you can help me talk him into it. You know.
yeah. Well, the thing is, we just found out recently too is that Butch is finishing up after this next the spring semester of 2021. He is retiring from teaching at
Hmm.
Texas State. I'm sure he'll still have the shingle out at times, but
Yeah.
he has to be careful too, just like me, because we both have compromised immune systems. So we have to kind of be very
Yeah.
careful about the in-person teaching.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be more than happy to go ahead and connect you cats so you can get him on the show. Because
Yeah.
talk about talk about living jazz history, man. That's Butch Miles, living,
Yeah.
breathing, and walking.
Yeah, we're connected. We've chatted some on Facebook too, and whenever I see him publicly, of course none of us have seen each other for months and months, but yeah,
Yeah.
he would be a wonderful guest, and the stories that he could tell. When you
Oh,
were with
no doubt.
Basie, did you work with Carmen Bradford at all during that period, or
Yes, I
yeah,
did. My Texas sister from another mister.
yeah. She's
She's
so good.
I love Carm so much.
She's a
She's one of the
sweetheart.
one of the greatest jazz vocalists ever. In fact, she was the guest for last year for the 25th anniversary of Jazz at St. James.
Mm.
And from what I heard, she tore it up. And it was so cool because she was talking shop with Joe Morales, and she actually did a little plug for the jazz festival, talking about me on it for this year.
Mm.
So and having worked with Carm, not only doing the Birdland gig, but we also I did a little swing out with them out on the West Coast, and also a thing over at the Kennedy Center a little over 2 years ago with Patty Austin.
Oh wow.
And yeah,
Was
I mean,
Patty
just
being honored at the Kennedy Center Awards, or was it something
I
different?
don't. It wasn't so much the Kennedy Center Awards as it
Just a
was just a
performance?
performance that was set up over there, and I mean, I
Yeah.
was called in to go ahead and play the bass trombone chair to cover for my man Alvin Walker, who's the regular bass trombonist with the band that has been for years. So for me, it was like a bucket list moment.
Oh
Honestly, Scott,
yeah.
a
Oh,
bucket list moment.
that's terrific. Carmen is she's going to come on. We've been talking about doing one of these together, and we were struggling with how to get her connected. This software I used when I first started using it you had to use Skype to get on, and most people don't
Right?
have those accounts anymore, and Skype's quirky and doesn't always work. But they fixed it now, so I can just give people a link the way I gave you, and this is
Yeah.
the quality's outstanding. But anyway, I know Carmen's been working on a new album, and hopefully
Hmm.
she's maybe wrapping that up soon, and we'll be able to have her come on too. She's terrific. Not only is she a wonderful singer, but she's a wonderful spirit. Such a strong
She really
voice
is.
in so many
She
ways.
really is in so many ways. She is soul sister number 100 as far as I'm concerned, man. She's just like she is that good and then some. She's just amazing, and she can sing so many genres.
Yeah.
Plus, she also has a gig where she is like the instructor of jazz voice out in San Francisco at the conservatory there, working with the jazz department. So, the lady is not only a phenomenal singer and all, but she's also a great educator.
Yeah.
And
She taught at U. Didn't she teach at USC for a while too? She was
I believe
yeah.
so. I believe so.
So I know
We'll
and
have
they,
to we'll have to give her a shout and see what's up.
yeah, we might as well. Carmen, come on and talk to us.
Yeah, yeah.
um, let's play another tune, then we'll come back and talk some more. What would you like to play next out of the list? What are you feeling?
Well, before we do that, let me just tell you real quick about some of the guys who were on the album
Yeah, oh yeah,
with me,
please do.
because on the first cut, that first cut that you played, and then of course with "Give Me That Wine" as well. Um, I've got let's see, the great John Lee, who's not only the executive producer, but he was also the last bassist and to work with Dizzy Gillespie on a regular basis
Mm.
for years, and also is pretty much the keeper of the flame of the Dizzy Gillespie enterprise, which means he runs not only the big band, but he also has the Afro Latin band, the Dizzy Gillespie Afro Cuban band, and fingers in a lot of different pies. So I couldn't have hooked up with a better cat as far as when I first started on the band playing, and then eventually getting to know him and work with him and all the other musicians on there.
John
John
Lee.
is a phenomenal bassist. He's one of the best jazz bassists I've ever heard in my life, and I've heard a lot of them. So John's there on playing on electric bass, and also on the drums, Tommy Campbell. On the piano, it was my man Jeb Patton. I met Jeb when we were both working together with the John Lee and the Dizzy Band, but also playing with the late great Master Jimmy Heath,
Oh
because
wow.
we both played on his big band. And Jeb is just a brilliant, brilliant pianist and a wonderful cat. His wife actually is singing on "Give Me That Wine" along with me on the "Unhand That Bottle" part.
Yeah, yeah.
That's her singing the upper part on
Okay.
that,
That's great.
which was really, it was very nice of her to want to come in and help us out like that. But and then of course Freddie Hendrix on the trumpet, who is just, man,
Strong.
he's
Oh
talk about a flamethrower,
yeah.
a flamethrower. It's just like it's just amazing. So I've got those cats on the album, and then let's do this one cut that's a favorite of mine on the album as well. There's a few that I really like, but this one cut in particular was also composed and arranged by my dear friend Becca Patterson, who is just a great tenor and bass trombonist in her all right. She's also played with numerous bands in New York City, including, of course, the Count Basie Orchestra, which she's one of the very few women who actually have ever played on that band. She has also played with the Mingus Big Band. She's worked with, oh my gosh, just tons of cats. Done stuff with the Birdland Big Band, Arturo O'Farrell and his Latin Jazz, his Afro-Latin band. And along with Broadway work, playing Wicked, among other shows. She's just a wonderful person and a total, for lack of a better term, a total badass on bass and tenor trombone. So this tune is called Blues for Becca Bass Bone, which seems appropriate. She's playing bass trombone on this one. I come in playing tuba. Wow. I'm also doing some bass trombone, and then also doing some, I think, some tenor trombone. There's a little bit of tenor trombone on this as well, but the solos are either bass trombone or tuba. So this is for all you cats who live below the F clef.
Blues for Becca Bass Bone. And we're getting down low with this one.
Yeah, baby. Oh, okay. Trust me, at the end of it, we're like subterranean dwellers at this point.
All right, let's roll it.
Cool.
Oh yeah, man, that's low.
That's a mud right there, baby.
That is
that's
down.
Mighty low.
That's in the mantle. That's an underground river right there.
You betcha. You betcha.
Oh, that's
yep,
great.
And the water's deep too.
Man, how big is the mouthpiece?
Wow.
Mouthpiece must be about the size of a small saucepan, you know.
Oh, jeez. Well, you know,
how do you get down that low? That's just
lips in air, baby. Lips in air.
They're vibrating like what, 10 times a minute?
Something like that. Especially for those low frequencies at the end in particular were just like that's, you know, we're hitting like double pedal B flats and stuff.
Oh yeah, that is cool, man.
But it's just, you know, it's the thing is that it's great to have the chops and everything, but more so it's the swing. And I think that's one of the things in particular that I love so much about this album. I feel like it's really got the mantle of jazz on it because it's got the rhythms in it. And you can feel it from tunes like Give Me That Wine, you know, or like with Blues for Beggar Bass Bone, among others. The groove is there. And that's one of the things that was really important to me because honestly, I hear a lot of cats who play jazz and, you know, a lot of young players out there who have phenomenal technique and just amazing skills on the instrument, but you got to remember the rhythm. That groove has got to be in place, man. That's what really makes it happen. It's great to have the theoretical knowledge and the knowledge of lines and melody and patterns and ideas that you can put together and be creative. But to me, it's like if you have all that, but you don't really apply the elements of swing into it, then it doesn't really feel like jazz.
Yeah, and you know, I've thought about that a lot, Ron, because you know, even within jazz, there's so many genres and ways we've sliced it, so many periods, the swing era, the bop era, the hard bop, you know, I mean, so many different things, but but underlying all of that, even though there may be some of it swings has a far more implied triplet swing feel than other things, maybe where you got in that Miles 60s period when they're kind of straightening the swing out, but it still swings, right?
Yeah.
It's what the
Yeah.
bass player is doing and where the horn players and the soloists are laying those lines down is what creates that width of the beat, right? I mean, it's like they're not all lining up like this. There's, maybe the bass player's playing up near the front and the horn players are laying back a little bit. And that whole thing is it's really an art unto itself, just how to feel and understand what it means to really swing, doesn't it? I mean, what's it like to work with students to try to communicate that to them? Is it mostly, do you feel like it's mostly just you got to listen and hear it and feel it because you can't really explain it? Is that the way you approach
Well,
it?
actually, it can be explained.
Can
It can be explained. What I do is I definitely incorporate the elements which you're talking about. Listening to great jazz drummers of the past, like Papa Joe Jones.
Yeah.
Going over to cats like, say, for instance, a bit more modernist, like Max Roach or Tony Williams, or going into the pocket with guys like Philly Joe Jones, or Ed Thigpen, or for sheer chops and drive, Buddy Rich or Louis Bellson.
Yeah.
Or for the cat who played everything in the kitchen sink and still swung his butt off with like Elvin Jones or a modernist like Jeff Tane Watts. These are the cats who I really dig. And
me too.
The beautiful thing about it, especially with the gig that we just did, which is going to be airing this Friday and Saturday for Jazz at St. James, Mike Gordon is another one of those cats who I feel is definitely a deep within the lineage of jazz, because the guy not only is a great technician on the instrument, but he can swing. He can seriously swing. And it's a beautiful thing to witness and take in. When I talk to my students about this, it's getting the listening in, it's being able to try to internalize it, but it's also about looking at it and breaking it down for a very basic pattern. Instead of looking at your eighth notes in terms as you would from a classical standpoint of where you have these straight eighth notes going across a 4-beat pattern like da, 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 da. You try to relax the eighth notes to the point where they have a little bit more of a slight triplet feel and intent to them. Do, da, do, da, do, da, do, da. So you don't emphasize as much about that in terms of the straightness of it as you do trying to go ahead and change the rhythm slightly. But then the other part of it is that when you practice this stuff and you're working on music, it's not about trying to go ahead and put into a 4-beat pattern, but it's also learning how to be able to hear backbeat. Because backbeat is another key element of this one. It's not on 1 and 3, it's on 2 and 4 for the most part. If you have a waltz that you're playing where it goes dank, 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 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3, 1 and 2, 3. Or if you're doing a swing tune, it's 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have jazz students practicing scales doing this, where they have to go ahead and put the scales and set the metronome into a half note pattern instead of a quarter note pattern, and emphasize now to beats 2 and 4. So if the pattern is set up where the tune goes in quarter equals 120, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Set your metronome at 60 where you have 1, 3, 1, 3. But now instead of 1, 3, it becomes 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. And if you're practicing scales and going 1, 2, 3, 4, da do da do 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 da do da do 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 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Da do da do 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 we ba da 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 do. When I've worked with singers as well as instrumentalists, I try to convey that sense of the rhythm and the pulse, and for them then to go back and do some listening in their library and put a critical ear more so now instead of just what the person was doing that made them just go crazy over the solo. But now listening to the tune itself and listen to how the rhythm section interacts with the ensemble on that tune, how the drummer plays off with the bassist, who also then plays off with the pianist, who plays off with those three people. And then they're all three listening in to what's happening with the instrumentalist or vocalist to not only complement them, but to still keep the essence of that groove.
Yeah.
Whether it's a ballad, whether it's a swing tune, whether it's a 3/4 or 6/8, whether it's a 12/8 piece, whether it's a bossa nova, whether it's a samba, whether it's a, I mean, there's so many other genres as you just mentioned about, but it's finding that heart of the rhythm. And I think that's one of the things that with young players, they really need to pay more attention to. Because, I mean, I hear a lot of great cats, and there's a lot of cats here in Austin who are phenomenal musicians, and they all sound great, But the thing that I really listen for is, are you swinging? Mm-hmm. Even if it's a ballad and you're playing a tune like Here's That Rainy Day, is there some element of it that tells me that this has jazz meaning, jazz feeling, jazz interpretation and style? It's the feel, it's the rhythm, it's the phrasing, it's and more so it's the intent behind the music. And if you can find the heart of it, as I call it, then you're swinging, you're absolutely swinging.
That's what connects with people, right? I mean, when we hear something that's really swinging, it connects with us in a deeper way than something that's just happening on an intellectual level, only, right? There's something. Sure. It's just more organic, and maybe it's maybe it's a biological thing. Maybe it's because of our heart rhythm and whatever. Who knows? But I'm sure there are many theories and thoughts about that. But nobody can doubt that it's real and that it's true. In the same way that the church experience can really move.
Oh,
people.
Absolutely.
And
mm-hmm.
and again, that's why getting back to some of that stuff we said earlier, I think that's why it's so able to lift us up, to give us energy, to heal us, to move us forward, and why it's ultimately so. It's another thing that you hear that seems cliche, but that's why it's so important as a universal language to bring people together when sometimes otherwise they're unable to communicate at all. Right? Yeah. It's a common ground, and I mean, we've talked a lot in our home, with the kids and sometimes with others at a distance, about the things that have been going on this year in this country around race and conflict in that regard, and sort of the white community reckoning, some that are willing to do it, some who aren't yet, of coming mm-hmm. to grips with our history as a country, and also the contribution of Black Americans and to the music that has meant so much to us, and is this connection down deep that has done more to bring healing than probably anything else in some ways, not to in any way belittle the great work that people have done to take stands for, on the legal end of things, for rights and acknowledgement of rights. Of course, that is important, and that's got to keep going on. But man, I don't think you can overestimate the importance that music has had in trying to help people rise above their misunderstandings and prejudices and all that. Do you agree with that perspective? Because I felt that way for a long time.
I do, actually. I think that music is one of those binding forces that can tie everyone together. Even if you have, maybe you don't have as much musical talent as, the next person. It's like, it's like I've heard the line saying from some people, that woman's got more talent in her little finger than most people have in their whole body. But, even with the sense of understanding talent and such, it also has to be a level of intellect that comes with it. And then when you look at it from that standpoint, you see the contributions that African Americans have made in this country, not only in the very early beginnings and through the periods of slavery, mm-hmm. but beyond that, in the arts, in the sciences, in literature, in mathematics, in technology. there have African American people and Black people have made a difference. People of color have made a difference, and we're all a part of this country, this amazing melting pot we call the United States of America. And no matter at times how fractured we may seem and such, we still have certain things that bind us all together. And music is definitely one of those that has made a huge difference.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, and like I said, I don't think you can overestimate it, because I think you could probably in some make the case that without the contributions, music and the others that you've mentioned, we don't really know what this country would look like. It's not that we don't have a lot of work to do, and we do clearly a lot of work to do, but we could be,
Sure.
and we might not even be. We might not even be a nation. I mean, we might
Yeah.
not without those contributions.
Yeah.
We might not have survived certain periods. We might never have accomplished many of the things we've accomplished. And I think that's really important to remember. And man, there's nothing like listening to swing. That I know some people hear swing and they think, oh, that's elevator music or that's country club music, and it's like, no, you're not. You've been in too many dentist's offices and not paying attention to what you're hearing. But if you'll really dig it in its real environment, then there's no way that they can't connect with you. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. And to me, it's we're all intertwined together. We really are. Whether we see each other differently or we can see each other and get past our differences, we're all intertwined together. We're all children of the earth. We all bleed the same colored blood. We might all speak different languages. We might have different philosophies. We might have different mindsets, but we're all human beings. And that is something that ties us all together. But to shoot off of that real quick and go ahead and throw this in, because Mike Mordecai just chimed in. He wanted me to remind him, what position is double high E in?
Yeah. Hi, Mike.
I'd like to say on behalf of Mike Mordecai and all trombonists in the world, when you play a double high E natural, it is literally in any position you want it to be. It's that high. Take that, Mordecai.
Do you even need the trombone? I mean, maybe that's the real question, There you go. See?
There you go.
And it may sound the same, right?
No, not really. Look, Ma, no lips.
Excuse me. I had a great show. The last show I did was, it was 4-6 weeks ago, and it was with Mike. And we were going to come back for part 2, and we really need to come back for part 2 because, man, does Mike have a lot of stories to tell. So it's good to see him on, and we're going to have to get him back on soon. But
yes, indeed. Yes,
should we play another tune?
Yeah, let's do it. We're going to go ahead and slow down the pace on this one.
Okay.
I made sure to throw in some ballads on this, and there's 2 of them in particular on this album that I really liked. If you pull this one up, it's one of my favorites. I listened to a version a few years ago that was done by the great jazz singer Kurt Elling on this tune, and I enjoyed it so much that I wanted to go ahead and put it onto the album as well. This is My Foolish Heart.
All right, and I keep forgetting to do this. We want to keep throwing this up, but
yes,
Ron is playing this weekend with some great musicians at Jazz at St. James Presents. This is their first virtual three weekend concert of this long running series. Isn't that right? First time they've done it virtual.
That's correct. And also, since everybody's looking at the poster, and I'll make sure I post this up on my social media as well. Also, notice that on the Jazz Mass this coming Sunday, the fabulous Hope Morgan, who's one of a national treasure and an Austin gem, is the featured vocalist for the Jazz Mass. And on that Saturday, the A.D. Mannion Award goes to the fabulous Alex Koch, who I've played with Alex off and on over the years, and that man is a force. He is a force of nature. He is a brilliant saxophonist and flautist and woodwind player and composer. So he's actually going to be given the A.D. Mannion Award on Saturday evening. So that's something else for people to go ahead and chime in and check out, because both those folks, between Hope and Alex, are just amazing people and wonderful musicians. And this is going to be one heck of a show. It really is. And then, just getting the chance to be able to make music again is just, that's the joy.
And I can watch it. Joy. We can all watch it right from the comfort of our living room, which is pretty cool,
You betcha. You betcha.
I love being there in person. There's no substitute for it. There's no replacing it. But right now we can't do that. And thank goodness we're able to watch it this way. So it's exciting to know that that's going to happen. So we're going to roll. We're going to roll. You said, I forgot, My Foolish Heart or My Foolish Heart?
Yes, okay. My Foolish Heart. I want to save Love for Sale for the end, just because there's a story behind that one too.
You got it. Okay, and this is My Foolish Heart, and this is from a soon-to-be-released new album by Ron Wilkins. And what is the title of the album, Ron?
It's called Ron Wilkins, Trombocalist.
Okay. So they can watch for that soon in all of their favorite download or streaming locations, I'm sure, right?
And in honor of Mike Mordecai, I'd like to dedicate and send this now to Laura, who's the better half. Take that. All right, let's do it.
All right, here we go.
The scene was meant for dreaming. Love's knocking at the door. But oh my heart, I'm reluctant to start, 'cause we've been here before. The night is like a lovely tune. Take care, my foolish heart. How wide the ever-constant moon. Take care, oh, take care, my foolish heart. There's a line between love and fascination. It's hard to see on an evening such as this, 'cause they both give the very same sensation when you're lost in the madness of a kiss. Her lips are much too close to mine. Take care, my foolish heart. But should our eager lips combine, then let the fire start. For this time it isn't fascination or a dream that will fade and fall apart. No, this is love. This time it's love, my foolish heart. Her lips are much too close to mine. Oh, take care, my foolish heart. Should our eager lips combine, then let the fire start. For this time it isn't fascination or a dream that will fade and fall apart. No, this is love. This time it's love, my foolish heart. No, this is love. This time it's love, my foolish This time it's love. This time.
Yeah.
Beautiful, man.
Thanks, brother.
Oh,
I love that song so much. That's
a tough one to sing too, man. That's some really long phrasing in that tune, you know, for a vocalist.
It is.
You
But
did a beautiful job.
I mean, I don't even think so much about that. I think more so about the message behind the music. You know, this is the kind of music that I love to do, because to me it's like it displays a level of passion and intimacy that I think is really, really essential and important for us as human beings to be able to feel love, to feel compassion, to feel the warmth. A buddy of mine once was hearing a great jazz vocalist sing a ballad like that and said, "Man, that's like belly rubbing, baby making music right there. That's what that is." So if I've achieved that level of belly rubbing and baby making, I'm good with it.
I think the case could be made that you have. Absolutely. I'm sure there's evidence out there. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Great trombone solo. And so I
Thanks.
I don't have perfect pitch, so I don't know where you landed. Where did you get up there at the top of the register there?
That was a triple high D natural. That would be D5 on the Richter scale.
Just in case Mike wants to know, is there such a position, or do you just, once again, you get wherever you need to get on that one?
Well, the thing is that like with the trombone, like other instruments in the brass family as well, once you get so high up on the instrument with the vibration from the lips with the air, and you hit these really high pitches like that, it literally doesn't matter where you finger it or where you move the slide to it. It's gonna be there.
Yeah.
You know, I demonstrate this to like beginning trombonists in particular, where I go ahead and I'll start playing on the low end of the horn. And then as I start going higher, I start showing them where you can find the same note on different parts of the horn. Eventually I end up so high that I'm just moving the slide back and forth like this, and it doesn't matter where I'm moving, the note's the same.
It's coming from a different place once you get up in the stratosphere, right?
Yeah.
I know that's true with trumpet players too, to some extent, right? I think you can.
Oh, sure.
You can get up to a place. I mean, the way I saw Maynard Ferguson live a few times in the late '70s, early '80s, when I was young,
Yeah.
and he would be moving around, and he's not valving anything. It's just it's just sheer force, you know.
It's pretty amazing. And yet, at times when he'd be doing that as well and playing that high up and he'd moving the fingers and such, it would become an effect on top of the extreme range that he was displaying. And
Yeah.
it was, to me, it's just guys like Maynard were just like, they influenced me a lot when I was a kid. I mean, between him and of course, like the great Cat Anderson, who played with the Duke
Oh
Ellington
gosh,
Orchestra for
yeah,
years,
yeah.
or a guy
He predated Maynard, didn't he? Wasn't he kind of the
he did.
original screecher? You know.
Well, not really the original Screecher. I have to give that title. Actually, back in the day when Louis Armstrong was playing and hitting these really high
Well,
notes on the trumpet,
Louis.
he
Oh my
wasn't
God, yeah.
screaming up there. But the thing was that he was playing notes up on the horn that were on the upper end of it and doing it with such ease and effortlessness at times that people were just stunned.
Yeah.
In particular, trumpeters. They'd never heard anybody who could do stuff like what he was doing on a trumpet.
I'll bet all
To
of
me, it's
those.
like,
Yeah, I'll bet
mm,
all of those guys would cite him as such a guiding star for them. John Faddis and Cat
oh, of
and
course,
Maynard and all of
of
those
course.
high note
Yeah,
specialists. And
it all comes from Pops, man. It all comes from Pops.
who's your favorite? Not your favorite, but who are some of the trombonists that have moved you the most over the years? Kind of from some different
Wow.
eras. I can imagine some of them, but I'd love to know if there are others that maybe I'm not thinking of.
Well, there's been a lot. When I was a kid growing up, um, I was listening to some trombonists on the my dad's record collection with like either Duke Ellington or Count Basie. One of the first cats I heard who caught my ear was the great jazz trombonist Al Gray, who played with the Basie band. And then, as I was a kid growing up in high school, my band director turned me on to Bill Watrous,
Mm-hmm.
who was legendary and still to this day one of my favorite trombone heroes. But then, of course, going into North Texas, I was really getting into J.J. Johnson and studying his phrasing and his style.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else? Oh my gosh, there's so many. You know, um, Cats like, of course, J.C. Higginbotham, Tyree Glenn, Curtis Fuller,
Mm-hmm.
um, Jimmy Cleveland, Julian Priester, Slide Hampton, Carl Fontana, Frank Rosalino, Abe Lincoln, not the president, the trombone player, among others. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
when I was going through my time in the Air Force Band, I was listening to these incredible trombonists who were playing with the U.S. Air Force Band, Airmen of Note, up in D.C. Dave Steinmeier, who I attribute to be one of the guys who was a big influence for me in being able to play in the tessitura range of the trombone, that extreme high range,
Mm-hmm.
along with Bill Watrous, of course. And another guy who was also playing with Steinmeier back in the day in the 80s was another cat, Rick Lillard, who is an unsung hero on the jazz trombone, but is just phenomenal bebopper, swing player, and screamer on the trombone.
Mm.
So I mean,
Yeah,
there's a few guys
that's a
there.
great list. There are a lot of. I've had a real privilege of getting to play with some great trombonists in this town in Austin over the years too.
Oh yeah, and
Andre's
of
here,
course,
John Blondell, Andre Hayward, Paul McKee was
yeah,
here at one point in time. He's up
yeah.
in Boulder now. So many, and it's it's I wonder if, everybody has this perception that, well, that's one of those instruments, everybody likes to make the jokes about, trombone players. How could you make a living playing jazz and playing trombone and all that?
Yeah.
And maybe they all come from Texas. I don't know. But I've met so many wonderful jazz trombonists in Texas and
Oh
people that come
yeah,
to Austin, because this town's a magnet for talent too, this scene.
absolutely. I mean, you talk about cats here in Austin, of course, like Blondell. John Blondell was my high school jazz private and trombone instructor when I was a sophomore in high school. And he was one of the few guys who knew how to call out BS when I hadn't practiced. And
he will too,
he got on my, he did. Oh, absolutely. But he was a big influence for me. When I first heard our friend Mike Mordecai play, and I was blown away by his chops and his talent. And of course, you talk about guys like Paul McKee, and I was in University of Colorado Boulder about 2 years ago, doing a guest spot there for this big world conference, a conference of world affairs. And the director of the jazz program there, Brad Good, who's a phenomenal trumpeter and composer and pianist and drummer and one of these just freaks of nature cats. He and Paul McKee were both the jazz guys there at UC Boulder. And they're just like doing amazing stuff playing wise. But, I knew Paul when he was in Austin as well. And, along with cats now, like we're here, like, of course, Paul Deemer also.
Yeah, Paul.
Who's a great jazz trombonist.
Alton's a great player too,
Alton, absolutely. I watched Alton when he was coming through out of Temple and doing his study at Texas State. And then he ended up at Michigan State studying with the great Mike Deese. And now he's teaching just up the road from us up in, I think around Belton area up there. But he's doing great stuff. I mean, there's an incredible pool of talent on the trombone in particular, but other instruments as well, that have come out of this state, and it's just been phenomenal. I'm honored to be a part of it. It's part of the history of the horn and the music and the greatness of what can be done if you believe.
You're so solidly in that tradition. When I was in high school, I was you were in when did you graduate high school?
75.
Is that San Antonio?
Yeah, Theodore Roosevelt High School.
I was in Amarillo, Texas. I graduated in 78. And
gotcha.
And I actually only went to NTSU for 1 year in the fall of 78. I think you were you there then, or were you gone by then?
Yes, I was.
You were there?
Yes, I was. I was there. At that time, I was probably playing in either the 4 o'clock or the 3 o'clock lab band.
Yeah.
Around that point. Actually, no, 78 would be that 5 o'clock lab band, but I was working my way up.
Working your way up, yeah. I came to school with a trombonist friend from Lubbock, Chris Sider. Did you know Chris Sider?
Yeah, absolutely. Chris is a dear friend.
We used to play in a little society band in West Texas. We'd play country clubs and go from town to town with this little band called Tiffany Brass. But so I was there. I was thinking that our paths might have had a chance to cross, but didn't. I wasn't there very long. That school scared the hell out of me, and
oh man, I hear you.
I wasn't ready for it, but so I left.
I was there from fall of 76 up until spring of 81, and then I took off and went on the road for a semester to tour with Clark Terry and the College All-Star Big Band.
Yeah.
And then came back by that summer, and then finished up in 82, and then by 1984, I was in the United States Air Force Band, based out of San Antonio, down at Lackland Air Force Base.
Wow!
And did about 10 years there.
Wow!
And had great experiences on that end as well.
Oh yeah!
And then after that,
great Air Force bands. I've heard some killing.
Oh yeah!
Bands.
Oh yeah! And I tell my students even to this day that, if you're a musician and you're looking at options when you get out of college, or even if you're not quite done with college and you're needing to go ahead and try and get a job or something like that, the military band program is still a viable means of employment. And plus you can get good benefits out of it, like the GI Bill. You can get VA home loans. You can get your medical and dental covered. You can get that covered for the most part with your family as well. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities, and if you're single and you want to see the world, every 2 to 4 years you can move and end up in a different band, depending on how it works out for you.
Well, so those benefits are hard to come by more than ever, so I can understand why, that's so inviting.
Well, I mean, in part because of the medical condition that I've been dealing with, because I had a kidney transplant about 6.5 years ago, and that also led to my immunosuppressed system. I was able to go ahead and get my help and treatment through the VA. So, I mean, the VA has worked out well for me, not to mention when I was finishing my master's degree at Texas State back in 2007 and 2008, I was able to use the Hazelwood Act, which is an act that was drawn up for Texas veterans. So it paid for literally 90% of your tuition and fees in college, anywhere you want to study in the state.
Wow. Wow.
So,
That's wonderful.
I'm
Yeah.
going through taking these graduate courses, and even like 3 or 4 of them, and you walk out of there and you got to pay like around 3K or something. And I'm paying maybe about 35 to 20 to $45.
Wow.
you know. And yeah, so I mean, it was there's a lot of good advantages to it, and I recommend it to young people in particular if they're looking at a means of being able to go ahead and make a living. And I like a lot of my friends who were in the military band programs, we served with honor, we served our country, and we made music, and it was a great way to make a living.
Yeah, that's cool. You know, and it's the
Yeah,
closest thing to you talk about that support with education too, with the disappearance of true state-sponsored higher ed, you know, which is largely
yeah,
just gone now. Maybe that's something we can begin to rectify and get back, but that's something we all
I would love
benefited
to see that.
from. You know, I mean, that was an important part of our opportunity to grow. Gosh, I went through University of Texas, paid like $750 a semester for a full load of
Wow,
classes. You know, I mean, it was nothing back then.
wow. Yeah.
So
Oh, I hear you.
can't do that anymore. You know.
No,
Um,
no. Multiply that by 10, if not 15, if
oh,
not 20.
yeah,
Jeez.
crazy. I'm
Yeah, it's like, you're going through the pay line and you leave without a foot.
yes, that's the truth. I'm running
Yeah.
up against the clock because I have, as you well know, and many of these people know, I have kids that demand a lot of bandwidth. So we're going to have to start wrapping up. But gosh, you and
No problem.
I could talk to you, Ron, for hours and hours and hours. Just so much great music and so many great stories. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on and how grateful I am that you're healthy and you got over the challenge with COVID you dealt with, which is just frightening to hear about. But we're so grateful that you're well and strong and you look and sound great, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that, Scott. I hope that we get a chance to play together again. It's been a long time since you and I got on the bandstand and
I
did some
know
damage. So that'd be a lovely thing to do once again.
it
I
would.
just want to say, a quick thanks, not only to you, but also once again to the nice folks, the rectory, the staff, and of course our friend Joe Morales for setting this stuff up with Jazz.
Go
And
ahead
I'm the
there.
guest artist.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
it is.
There it is.
So this coming Friday, November 13th, and Saturday, November 14th at 7 p.m. And then on Sunday is the Jazz Mass featuring the wonderful Hope Morgan, and also the St. James Gospel Choir is going to be performing as well.
Wow.
And they're also going to be doing the Lonnie Jackson Award to Brian and Vicki Miller that day, also on the Sunday Jazz Mass. So definitely, I hope everyone gets to go ahead and peek in on it, check it out, and enjoy the show. And once again, you can do this in the comfort of your own dig. So if you want to just hang out and dance around a little bit, no one's watching. Go ahead, knock yourself out. Take your pants off if you want to. Do the safety dance,
You
which
know,
leads me to the.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Scott. Go
No, no,
ahead.
I was going to say, I was going to say, we would definitely will put the poster back up again because we want people to know about it and we want people to be there, and we'll wrap up here with "Love for Sale." You said that would be a good one to close with, right?
Yes, indeed. And the story behind this is a composition by Cole Porter. So imagine, if you will, a young Cole Porter back in around the 60s or so, um, hanging out, or the 70s even, hanging out, and he stops in over this juke joint. And there's James Brown on the bandstand with the Brecker Brothers horn section. And
Mm.
he's digging it. And he's like, yo, this is really groovy music. I should do something with this. so, so with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this is Cole Porter's Love for Sale, as interpreted by yours truly, with emphasis to James Brown and the Brecker Brothers. Get down with your bad self. And for those bass trombonists out there, it's a bass bone solo.
for sale. Appetizing, sweet, yummy love for sale. Love that's fresh and still unspoiled. Love that's only slightly soiled. Love for sale. Who will buy? Who would like to sample my supply? Who's prepared to pay the price for a trip to paradise? Love for sale. Give me that double time swing. Let the poets pipe of love in their childish way. I know every type of love far better than they. If you want the thrill of love, I've been through the mill of love. Old love, new love, every love but true love for sale. Appetizing, sweet, yummy love for sale. If you want to try my wares, follow me right up the stairs to love for sale. Let the poets pipe of love in their childish way. I know every type of love far better than they. If you want the thrill of love, I've been through the mill of love. Old love, new love, every love but true love for sale. Appetizing, sweet, yummy love for sale. If you want to try my wares, follow me right up the stairs.
Ron, you're a force of nature, man. That was
Dude,
great.
I love that tune.
What a celebration.
Thank you. Just wanted to throw a quick thing out real fast because Clay Robinson had messaged on here and said, wow, who's on guitar?
Yeah.
Clay, that is my good friend Jeff. That's Jeff Barone from out of Syracuse, New York. Jeff is a great classical, more so a jazz, electric, and acoustic guitarist. He also does some really nice stuff on one of my other favorites on the album called Padre Island, which is my smooth jazz tribute on bass trombone.
Wow.
But, it's between him and, of course, Terry was asking who was playing trumpet on Love for Sale. That, once again, was the wonderful and talented Mr. Freddie Hendrix on the trumpet.
Yeah.
So,
man,
thank you. One of the great goals that I've always had was to be able to do a New York album with the music that I grew up with and the music that I've been working on, and to be able to bring someone on like Becca, who's a great musician in her own right, as well as a fine educator. And in fact, she's also, working around here and looking in with different schools to go ahead and do some teaching. So for any of you guys who are band directors, band directors out there, there's this one woman that I know of who's a phenomenal brasser who can really help your kids and bring some outstanding things to the table. And her name is Becca Patterson. And if you go to, you can find her on a webpage. Just search Becca, type in Becca Patterson music or Rebecca Patterson music, and you can check her out. But she's here in Austin.
She's here now.
And
okay.
She's here now. She's my buddy, pal, and friend. We're actually sharing a condo here. So she's great peeps and a great teacher and a great player. So hook her up, send her some kids, guys, because this lady's the real deal.
That's fantastic. I again, I'm so grateful to have you on, man. It's been an evening of celebrating and reflection and just digging on some great stuff. And you really bring the energy. You're like I said, there's definitely a force of nature that Ron Wilkins is. And I can't wait to get this album when it comes out. Tell me again how soon it will be. How soon is it going to hit?
At this point right now, I'm pushing to go ahead and get this out by mid-January. I'm finishing up with John now on the final mastering. We got most of the tracks done as far as mastering goes. And Kim Yarborough, who threw some hearts up a moment ago on the screen, did some great work with the photography, and I'm going to be using some of her photos for the album cover, as well as just giving her some credit because she is amazing. What a wonderful sweetheart, and what a great eye she has.
Absolutely.
So
let's do one more plug. One more plug for that. When I switched to the photo, I had muted you. So go ahead and give one last plug for the show on the weekend.
Yeah. Everybody, please come and check us out. We're at Jazz at St. James. We're going to be online live. The 26th anniversary celebration. You can go to jazzatstjames.org, I believe, or just type in on your search engine, Jazz at St. James. We're going to be streaming it there. It'll also be, I believe, streamed over on Facebook. And check us out. And it's great stuff. It's a wonderful opportunity to share the music, to share the love, and to share the spirit. And it's going to be this Friday and Saturday at 7 o'clock. And then 10:30 Sunday morning is the Jazz Mass featuring the lovely and talented Miss Hope Morgan, along with the St. James Gospel Choir, and awards to be given out on Saturday and on Sunday. So thank you, Scott. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so grateful to you, and I appreciate the opportunity to come on air and to hang out with you, my brother.
You're so welcome, man. It's so great to see you and hear you. And so everybody check out the stream this weekend. We played Gimme That Wine early. Grab yourself a nice glass of wine. You probably can't drink on Friday and Saturday. You probably shouldn't on Sunday, right? Or I don't know. They do have wine during Mass, right? So.
Oh, listen, I'm gonna be drinking some wine on that. Oh, also, Joe just chimed in real quick as well, just to let people know this is also going to be streamed on YouTube. That's what it is. So you can go to YouTube and find us at
one more time.
I believe the Jazz at St. James page, and check us out. I'll be throwing up links on my Facebook as well as my Instagram, as well as on Twitter. They're already there, but I'll throw in some more. And we're in good shape. So my thanks to everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, you bet. And Joe, if you send me the link to the page, the web page for the festival, I'll make sure I put it into the comment section or into the description around the replay for this, because Facebook now they'll block this after we're done streaming as a replay, because they'll block some of the music because they're assuming we're breaking copyright. So what I do is I upload this to YouTube as a replay of the episode, and then I post it back to Facebook as a YouTube post. And I will make sure that the link to the festival website is in that post. So please send that to me.
And just to help out real quick too, because Clay Robinson is also making a mention as well. So when you guys go and you check out this, you'll see that, it's a free gig, but it takes work and effort to put anything like this together. So if you'd like to make a donation also to St. James, so that they can continue doing this along with the other wonderful things that they're doing for this, not only this concert, but the things that they're doing at the church and for future Jazz at St. James concerts, they rely on donations. So if you can help them out, please do, because these are wonderful folks, and not only doing the Lord's work, but bringing some swinging jazz to the show, baby. It's all good.
Amen. There's been a lot of
hallelujah.
There's been some wonderful generosity that we've been seeing during this challenging time. People stepping up and doing what they can to help musicians, help keep this great art form going through a very tough time. So thank you all, and I'm sure people will step up for this too to help out.
You betcha. Also, big thanks to the Austin Jazz Society for their contributions to make this happen, along with, I believe, Henna Chevrolet, among others. And it's on the poster as well, so you can check that out. But thank you, guys. I'm just happy to be back and glad to be here in Austin. It's one of my favorite cities in the world. And if I had to land somewhere, this is probably one of the best places I could land. You dig?
Oh, man. Ron Wilkins again, everybody. Jazz Force of Nature right here. And see him this weekend, Jazz at St. James. And we'll put the link into the replay of this episode. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight, and be back soon. Later, Ron.
Later, Scott. Bye, everybody. Peace.